Welcome everybody to a Yankee Hot Stove watch along, our first in a couple of weeks here at 161st and River. It's been about a little over a month. Maybe was the last time we did it. It might have been like a week after the winter meetings, so it's been a little bit. But for those who are new, we're gonna do a little bit different today because I have my iPad right next to me. Um, when they come on Yes Network and talk Hot Stove and go to commercial, we'll discuss what they just spoke about. My sense today is that they're going to prolong talking about the Bellinger situation in off season for a little bit. They're going to try and talk about the Hall of Fame, which, if you haven't seen, Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran, both former Yankees, who at the latter end of their career, I should say, post prime, even though Beltran's numbers were actually pretty good as a Yankee. Brandon Cuddy at the Athletic posted both their numbers as Yankees. Andrew Jones is what you would expect as a post prime player for ages 37, 38, and 39 from Beltran. I mean, the batting average like in the 270s. Like, it's pretty good. So congrats to both of them and their families. That's good. Both of them are deserving. Beltran obviously had a tough time getting in after the fallout with the Astros cheating scandal, but he deserves to be in. If AJ Hinch and Alex Cora can have jobs, managing teams still, Carlos Beltran can be in the Hall of Fame. Carlos Beltran should probably be the manager of a baseball team by now, if we're totally being honest. He does work in the Mets front office, which is interesting. So maybe that's his path, is to be a front office exec, but power to both of them. They both very much so deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Um, another, and I did vote for. Did I vote for both of them? No, I did not vote for Andrew Jones. It's interesting. I showed you guys last time or a couple times ago, with the Internet Baseball Writers Association. We do like a vote and write about it. Carlos Beltran, Cole Hamels, Torrey Hunter, Andy Pettit, A-Rod, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley. So I did not vote for Andrew Jones, but he does deserve to be in. So that's good. Um, Andy Pettit is trending in the right direction in this. A-Rod is up from last year, so you never know. I don't think A-Rod will get in. I think Pettit might. And Felix Hernandez as well was up from last year and some others. But the Yankees offseason needs to get started. So we'll talk a little bit before the Hot Stove Show comes on here. This was from Jim Bowden of The Athletic, who, to say he's hit or miss is probably being very nice. He's This is like such a cop-out tweet. Is mulling over multiple offers from multiple teams and is expected to make a decision shortly. Well, shortly for you would have been by now, or shortly for me would have been by now. I'll put it that way. If he was making a decision shortly, I would have expected it by like 4 o'clock this afternoon. That's what I would have expected shortly. That hasn't happened yet, obviously. But shortly could be 24 to 48 to 72 hours. Who knows? I know this is showing. Um, who knows? But Bowden isn't exactly, the most clued in person when it comes to this. Ken Rosenthal says he expects it within a week. I'd probably trust that a little bit more, but it feels like this is coming to a close. I can confirm, sort of, I guess, Heyman's tweet from like an hour ago of there are 4 teams in on Bellinger. Didn't say made offers. He said in. And it's like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like, yes, 4 teams have made calls over there. One team that we know has made an offer. And let's be real here. If the Mets had made an offer, we would probably know about it. And, we might get a Will Salmon tweet during this. Sources, the Mets made a 3-year, $175 million offer to Cody Bellinger in free agency. That would not surprise me if we got that tweet while sitting here, like, at all. Like, I could totally see that. Now, I'm not reporting that. I'm totally making that offer up. But I'm saying I could totally see the Mets having one of their trusted guys put out an offer. on the team's behalf because the Mets want the player, but on their terms, on a short AV deal. They don't want him on the contract the Yankees are giving, or want to give, I should say. The other two mystery teams are speculated. I don't know what those mystery teams are. What I can say is people who have speculated on X that the Mariners and Giants are there have not heard that, confirmed it. Alexa, off. Have not confirmed that. The Giants, I think, are probably in the mix because I've heard them a little bit more, but they also don't have like a lot of money. So I don't see them as firmly in the mix as others. The Mariners, I don't think are, and I don't think he's close to, I don't think he's decided on a team yet at all. So, and I don't think he's leaning towards a team either because Joel Sherman of the Post did his little podcast today for the first time in like a month and was, kind of firm on what he was saying a month ago and has written that he believes Bellinger will be back. He believes that the Yankees want Bellinger back. He believes that the Yankees are only going to spend big time money on one free agent this offseason. It's Bellinger. And then obviously if they miss on Bellinger, they'll do some other stuff. Michael Kay keeps talking about a trade that Cashman's trying to make. Maybe they'll have some insight on what a trade could look like or some candidates they could trade for tonight. That would be super, super fun. I have my own ideas based on prior reporting, based on who they've been interested in the past and is available on the trade market. That's why I keep bringing up Brandon Donovan because they've been very interested in him the past few years and he's available, can be had, and someone who would fit the team very, very well. Could even fit the team better than Bellinger because he could play shortstop and the outfield and second base and would allow for so many different things. It would be great. Now, offensively might be a tick step back, but still a really, really good player. But I tweeted this out, and this applies to the Heyman tweet. Multiple seems like a second push from Boris to either A, get another team to jump in, or B, get the Yankees to budge on their offer. They won't. Toronto is not involved at all. Mitch Bannon, who covers the team and is very connected up there, threw cold water completely on that this morning. They are not involved in this at all. The Phillies, based on Dave Dombrowski's comments from this morning, are not involved in this at all. Wow, Johnny's. So I don't know where they turn from here. It seems like a subway chase between the Yankees and the Mets. And I don't think the Yankees are going to blink because it's the big bad Mets. I think that means more to us as or fans than it does to the organization, which rightfully so, I guess. They aren't worried. They seem to have plans. Joel Sherman was like, the narrative that they don't have a plan is overblown. They have, plans to plan Delta in a different alphabet. He goes, they have so many, they know what they're doing. And I would like to hope so. And I would like to hope that this gets done now. And Sherman alluded to multiple more moves being made between now and spring training. And even in spring training, they could make moves. I'm encouraged to see what Curry says tonight because it's going to be the same mumbo jumbo we've heard before. Well, they're waiting on Bellinger. They want him back. They like their offer. They feel like their offer is competitive. We just have to wait. That's literally what he's going to say. Just be ready for it. Now, I doubt he has, any sort of new news. And I don't think they're in on Framber Valdez for those who are seeing like social media. The notion I got, because I checked on it last week, was they made a due diligence phone call, and that was to the extent of the conversations. Like, could they do kind of like a Red Sox pivot, like the Red Sox did for Ranger? Sure. Would Framber fit this team? Maybe. Would it be my first choice? Hell no. Because he has a horrible rap around the league in terms of character on the field, character in the locker room. But the Yankees did make a due diligence call. They would rather Freddie Peralta or someone on the trade market over getting Framber Valdez. It seems like the Yankees getting someone on the trade market could be in addition to Bellinger. Like, it's not just going to be Bellinger and nothing else. It's going to be Bellinger and possibly a trade for someone. Like, if they were to miss on Bellinger, or I shouldn't even say miss at this point. I should say if Bellinger chooses to leave at this point, because it wouldn't be missing. They have gone above and beyond in these negotiations, way beyond where they should go. So we'll see what the Yankees choose to do, because Hot Stove should be getting started like literally any second. I think it's a 50-50 shot at this point that he returns. Who knows? Maybe Jack Curry will break some news on the air. That'd be cool. Maybe he'll be like the Yankees have moved on or something. Like, it might be time for the Yankees to put like a Jack Curry report out with this and really scare Boris, because I feel like all these reports from Jim Bowden and John Heyman are coming from Boris. Like, it's, even though, I've had it a little bit. I've had it confirmed to my satisfaction today that yes, there are teams involved. Doesn't mean bidding, but teams have made calls. So we'll see. But the Yankees aren't going to be using these negotiations, is what it keeps sounding like from everybody. All right. The latest on Bellinger. Wonder what that is. Wait, they're going to talk about Weathers again? They did that last week. Wait, did they? Oh, they didn't talk about Weathers yet. Oh, okay. It'll be interesting to see what they have to say on that. I like that trade a lot. All right, they're starting with the Hall of Fame, as I surmised earlier. 84% for Beltran. Wow. They're only the 9th and 10th center fielders all-time elected to the Hall of Fame. A-Rod was at 40%. Andy Pettit, 48%. Which is, he came in 4th.
You talked about center field being the position tonight, Cooperstown being the place, and I think both of these players deserve to be there. Michael, it was the 4th year on the ballot for Carlos Beltran. I've been voting for him every season. I think he was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Jack thinks Beltran's the first Hall of Famer. First ballot, I should say.
But because of his role in the sign stealing scandal with the Astros, he had to wait.
I talked about all this before.
Carlos Beltran with his family, how excited he was. There was also relief in the way that he acted after hearing that news. And then Andrew Jones is also an interesting case. 10 straight years where he won Gold Gloves, more than 400 home runs, but he is also rare in this regard. He's getting in because of defense and power. Didn't have 2,000 career hits, hit under 260. It was the glove and the ability to hit the ball over the fence that guides him to Cooperstown.
Andrew Jones got in based on like defense and power. Let's see. Oh, they're putting the MLB Network clip that everyone's seen already of Beltran and probably Andrew Jones next, about how much it meant to them. Good for both of them. But I told you, they lead off with this crap because they want people to stick around. Because people like me turn it off. And I mean, I do want to see what Andrew Cervelli, Cervelli and Posada have to say with Team Italy. So we'll see. Nothing good so far.
I want to further that point in Puerto Rico, man. Everyone knows that country, how much they love baseball. And you continue that lineage, right? From Roberto Clemente now to Carlos Beltran. How meaningful is that to you?
Wow,
I forgot Beltran was a Cardinal.
To be linked next to our great Roberto Clemente, while we represent Puerto Rico to our island.
He's also, I think, the first Puerto Rican in the Hall of Fame. It's a first like Puerto Rican drafted person to get into the Hall of Fame. I believe I read that earlier. First
Another center fielder make it in the Hall as well. And
Puerto
a lot of times they took a lot of
Rican.
hits from us. But he was great.
I call him FaceTime because I'm so happy to hear the news that he made it also into the Hall of Fame. I told him that I really enjoyed my time competing with him. Those rivalry between the Mets, the Atlanta Braves, what a center field he played. The way he impacted the game defensively, offensively.
Oh, Andrew Jones was the firstborn Puerto Rican player to be in the Hall of Fame. Right? I think it is. Is that what this is saying?
So Carlos obviously talking about Andrew Jones, and this was Andrew Jones' reaction courtesy of CC Sabathia on that.
Oh, that's right.
He waited 9 years to get in, and he finally gets in with 1 more year of eligibility left. And as Jack said, one of the best defensive center fielders of all time. Did his damage early in his career, kind of dropped off after then. But Jack, so much would happen at the beginning of his career. We actually saw him as a 19-year-old in the 1996 World Series, Yankees Braves, and he hit 2 home runs to welcome himself to the world.
Youngest to do that since Mickey Mantle, so it shows you what kind of company he put himself in early. And you do talk about that defensive prowess, Michael, and it really
talking about how good of a defender he was. I saw before, like,
surge on the bound, and we will talk about that in a minute. But you talk about those great Braves teams. Tom Glavine,
the World Series. 0-2 against the Yankees in those World Series.
Spoken about why they felt that Andrew Jones was a Hall of Famer. And we talked about Beltran having to wait until year
10-time Gold Glove winner.
Jones had to wait until year 9. And Michael, there had to be moments where he thought this day would never come. When he debuted on the ballot, he had slightly more than 7% in his first year. The lowest total that anyone has ever received.
That's wow.
And then eventually made it to the Hall.
That's a good fact from Curry that Andrew Jones had the lowest percentage to get in. When his first time on the ballot 9 years ago was like just a hair over 7, and now he's in. That's great. Good for him.
I was reading all the stories of people that vote, and you can explain your voting as well. And it seems like voters are looking at guys that have Hall of Fame chunks of their career. And if they fall off, they're kind of ignoring that. And, Don Mattingly probably thinking, well, why wasn't that thinking going on when I was on the ballot?
Yeah, I think there are probably a lot of former players who are thinking that way. When I looked at Jones, I go back
they go right to the Mattingly thing.
The 10 Gold Gloves, you can't ignore that. You have to give him his props for that. It's there. Was there a drop-off after age 31 or so? Yes, it wasn't just a drop-off. He fell off a cliff. And I mentioned 254 lifetime average, 1,933 hits. But do I think he deserves a place in the Hall? Absolutely. That's why he got my vote.
Now, you mentioned Andy Pettitte. Andy Pettitte hit a huge jump in the voting. Now, he doesn't have that many more years left on the ballot, so you wonder, will he run out of time? But this has to be encouraging because people are ignoring the fact that he was in the Mitchell report. They're ignoring the fact that he has to come out and admit it, that he did PEDs twice to get back on the field. 5-time World Series champion. But when you match him up, his numbers, Jack.
They're saying that Pettitte may have surged despite being in the Mitchell report.
First try. You wonder if there was that connection to PEDs that Andy Pettitte would be in already, and will that be the thing that ultimately stops him from getting in?
I think you mentioned one of the reasons why we saw the surge is because CC Sabathia last year got in his first year and then spoke passionately about Andy Pettitte. And if you look at their numbers side by side, they're almost identical. You look at what Andy Pettitte did in the postseason, 19 wins in the postseason, more than anyone has had. He's got a 3.85 earned run average, which when you first look at it, you say, oh, that would be the highest earned run average of any left-handed pitcher in the Hall of Fame. But if you look at ERA plus, which factors in the era that he played in, the ballparks that he played in, he's right in the same neighborhood as a Tom Glavine or a Steve Carlton. So this was a big surge. But Andy Pettitte is in the marathon, Michael, where he has made up a lot of ground, say in miles 17 or 18. He's got to keep going. He needs to make up more ground in year 9 and year 10 on the ballot.
He has 2 more years to get in. So I could totally see Pettitte getting in. But 20% vote increase from 25 to 26, which is huge.
The PED PED situation, and we know that is absolutely costing Alex Rodriguez. Was he one of the best players I ever saw play? Yes. But when you've served the longest suspension in Major League history, you're giving voters a reason not to vote for you. Now, back to Andy real quickly, because you and I have talked about this. He was mentioned in the Mitchell report, the use of HGH, but I look at Andy Pettit's situation as the equivalent of a PED parking ticket. Those who had actual suspensions or failed tests, those to me are the PED felonies.
It's interesting though, because from their last time
He goes, he was in the Mitchell report, but he didn't get suspended, so it's like a parking ticket. The people who did it's like a felony. I wish people voted like that. I think Andy and A-Rod both should be in. If Poppy is in.
We're just getting started on this edition of Yankees Hot Stove.
All right, they're going to commercial. They'll discuss the Bellinger crap next.
We give you the latest now, so stay with us on Yes and the Gotham Sports app.
All right, the Hall of Fame crap is out of the way. So with the Hall of Fame stuff out of the way, congrats to both of them again. Good job. Both of their careers, great careers. I still think Andy Pettitte needs to get in next year or the year after. A-Rod, I don't think he'll ever get in, even though I think he should be in. For those who are football fans, Mike McDaniel was just hired by the Chargers as their new offensive coordinator. So that's interesting. Yep. Expected to be the Chargers OC, which it was trending in that direction earlier today. For Bills fans on here, keep an eye on Cliff Kingsbury for their head coaching job. This note from Passon. Since 1981, only two other center fielders have been elected in the Hall of Fame, Ken Griffey Jr. and Kirby Puckett, rightfully due for one of the most vital positions to have two incredible players. 10-time Gold Glove winner.
Protection is not enough. Using just an antivirus online is also not enough. Get better protection from online threats. Get NordVPN now. Got a clog? Trust AJ Berry. Call today for our $79.
They put Jim Edmonds' numbers next to Andrew Jones's numbers. I love how everyone starts comparing things. Like, why is Kenny Lofton on the Hall of Fame? It's every year with this crap. Like, they already started the Mattingly conversation. Mattingly's not in the Hall of Fame because they've changed the way the Hall of Fame votes since Mattingly was on the ballot. They vote very differently now. They take into account certain things. All right, here's the Bellinger crap.
Do you think the Yankees are still in play for Bellinger?
The big question right now,
Are we going to see Bellinger in camp? Bellinger.
If we had a nickel for every time we said that name, well, he'd probably sign the contract. But right now, he's still not signed. He's the best hitter still available on the free agent market. The best pitcher is Fernando Valdez.
This should be interesting.
The situation with Cody Bellinger, it's been widely publicized. It becomes a staring match right now. Where are we with Bellinger?
Yeah, it's an ongoing staring match, Michael. We have reported during our shows throughout the offseason that Bellinger was a priority for the Yankees, and he was a player that they wanted to sign. Now, you have said it yourself. There would probably come a point where financially the Yankees would tap out. We had said last week that the Yankees were in the 5-year, $160 million range. They were willing to go above the contract that Pete Alonso signed, which was 5 for $155. That's how they have read the market, And that's where they are right now. And that's an offer that has been out there for Bellinger for about a week right now. And whether or not there is going to be any sort of budging on Boris and Bellinger's side, we will see. The belief is that Boris would like Bellinger to get more in the line of a 7-year deal. But I would ask the question, where exactly is that coming from? We have not seen another team that has been as public in their pursuit of Bellinger as the Yankees have been. So we played that onslaught of Cody Bellinger mentions at the beginning of the offseason because that really is who the Yankees are hoping to get. Whether or not it comes to fruition, we're still waiting to see. Talking to some Yankee people, the word that I got from them was they're not going to bid against themselves. They're comfortable with where they are right now.
So let me ask you this question. I don't think that they see another bidder that's doing more than they do. So I've heard that phrase as well. We're not going to bid against ourselves. But what if there is a bid that they find out that's out there that's better? Would they move up, or are they very happy at 5 years, 160?
So I can't get inside that room and know exactly what their move would be and what their motivation would be. And we don't know what that other offer would be. But the vibe I'm getting is that they are comfortable at this number. They clearly didn't start at 160. They have moved from where they were. And though you don't know exactly what is going on in terms of who else might be interested in a player, I do think the Yankees are comfortable with the number they put out there. There has been some talk, Michael, about perhaps another team would try and swoop in and grab Bellinger and give him a deal that was for fewer years and a higher AAV.
This is a good one.
Let's play that out for a second. Let's say that somebody offered him something similar to what Bichette got. Let's just make it 3 years, 120. That's $40 million a year. But some of the teams that have been mentioned, whether it be Blue Jays or Mets or Dodgers, with the luxury tax being 110% penalty, $40 million a year would become $84 million a year to sign Cody Bellinger. We'll see if something like that happens. But in answer to your question, I think the Yankees are comfortable where they are.
That's a good
thing about this is that there doesn't seem to be a line in the sand or a deadline set by the Yankees or by Scott Boras and Bellinger. So you wonder what will be that hot point that gets things moving. What I'm hearing also.
Nice job, Johnny's. Sorry.
On the side of Boras and Bellinger, the Yankees continue to make phone calls talking about deals, maybe to be that plan B. But there doesn't seem to be the Yankees saying to Boras and Bellinger, you sign by this time or we're moving on. But they are talking with other people. Do you have a big name that they might be looking at?
Yeah, this is a good.
They are looking for right-handed hitters in their lineup. So if you're asking for a big name, I don't have the right-handed complement to Bellinger, but have they made inquiries about Harrison Bader and Austin Hayes? Yes. Could they pivot from a Bellinger and then say left field becomes Jason Dominguez and one of those right-handed hitters as a platoon? Sure, they could absolutely do that. There's also some talk, Michael, about, well, maybe if they didn't sign Bellinger, they could pivot and sign Framber Valdez.
Oh.
Any thought or any impression that something like that is going to happen?
Well,
Oh, okay. That's. I reported that about 10 seconds ago.
We'll talk about what to expect from Ryan Weathers as he looks to add to his family's legacy.
Okay, so
and that's next, right here on Yes.
I'll mute it until I see it come back. The Yankees don't want to. It's the same shit, different conversation. They're comfortable where they are. Now, Curry brings up a really good point about the low AAV offer because it would be from one of those teams in the luxury penalty. They are not in on Framber, as I reported before. I told you guys, I checked in on this last week because I saw the report come out. And I'm like, this can't be, like, he just doesn't fit what the Yankees are. Like, the Yankees are a very big character organization. They like character. Like, that's Judge's shtick. We all know that. Judge loves character. Judge loves, personality. And, they went out and got Jazz because Jazz has, edge. They went out and tried to get Josh Donaldson for edge. That was different edge. That was asshole edge. And he's a piece of shit for his comments. That's a whole different situation with him. I cannot stand Josh Donaldson. and hated the trade from the second that Passan reported it. That was a horrible trade. That's besides the point. But they got, Jazz, because Jazz is an all-star. He's got swag. And guess what? He's going to show up and put up every day because that's what Jazz Chisholm does. And you know what? He's got an edge to him. Jose Caballero, he's a pest. He has edge to him. But he's a good guy, right? We've all heard what Boone's had to say, where it's like, Caballero used to piss me off on the other side. But having him, I love the kid. Like, he's a really good, cool guy. But they don't, they're an asshole from the other side. And that's kind of what it is with Jazz as well. So they bring those guys in. Bromber's just a prick. So that's why they don't want to go after him. I love how they're touting that Jack is the one who broke that story. And he did. I'll give him credit. I think I gave him the credit.
2018 draft by the Padres. Actually made his major league debut in the 2020 postseason. He has a 4.93 ERA across 5 seasons. His family is familiar with the Bronx, and Dad David won a World Series ring with the Yankees in '96. And when he met the media, Ryan talked about how he found out he was traded to the Bronx.
So I just finished up my bullpen, and I get back to the house. I have like a little travel sauna, so I was in the sauna. One of those with my head just peeking out.
I wrote a story on Weathers last week. I really, really like him. I really like the addition. He seems very down to earth. The questions and answers. Really good press conference last week from him.
I talked to Cashman and talked to Booney, and just pure shock. Like, I just couldn't believe that the New York Yankees were like a team that I could ever have a chance to play for.
So before people, because this was a narrative that I'm going to mute them. We've heard these before. It was a narrative that's been out there that, the Yankees are getting him. Well, Joel Sherman, I'm not taking credit for this. Joel Sherman on his podcast today spoke about how there were like 10 other teams that were in on Weathers with the Marlins. And he compared it a little bit to Nathan Eovaldi coming from the Marlins to the Yankees. Hopefully it's a little bit better than that, even though I love Nate. But he was like, there were like 10 other teams. And he's like, I was calling executives from around the league that, are from like, for lack of a better word, like top front offices. Like I can presume the Dodgers, maybe the Mets, because he thinks the Mets are a good front office. And some other teams around the league. I can only surmise what he had to say. With that being said, he was like, they all wanted him. Like the high analytical front offices really wanted him. Scouts that have worked with him have called the Post and have been like, our organization that I worked for loved this guy. We really wanted him. We were high on him, X, Y, and Z. So to hear that, me after watching the press conference, after watching him on the Max Manus pod, shout out Max, after following him on social media. Now the trade went down a week ago, so I've been following him on social media for a little over a week. Seeing his reaction to the trade, his family connection to the trade, which I think always plays a good twist on this. I also think he went out today and got a haircut because he wants he had longer hair. He's like, nope, cut it, Yankee. That mold. Love that stuff. I love when people play into the old-fashioned stuff. So I'm really excited about this. All right, let me unmute this.
Cody Bellinger and David and Ryan Weathers. One quick thing about David, when he got traded over to the Yankees, he was awful at the beginning. Got sent down. The Yankees were looking at him and go, "Are you going to get an out?" And then he was one of the last guys that was included on the postseason roster, and he was money in the Yankees' run to the '96 World Series. And now Ryan Weathers becomes a Yankee. Very intriguing acquisition, Jack, in that he has not been healthy for a lot of his career. His stuff is really good when you look at the metrics of it. but it's not the sexy thing that Yankee fans, I think, were looking at. But it certainly could fill the Yankee needs if he stays healthy.
Yeah, 24 appearances across his last 2 seasons. That speaks to the injuries that you talked about. But I do think the Yankees see a lot to work with in Weathers. Those are his numbers in his career. Well, Mike, let's start off with a fastball that averages 97 miles an hour. He also talked on the Zoom call there about throwing his sinker more. He only threw it 4% of the time last year. The Yankees believe that can be a weapon for him against left-handed batters. The Yankees also believe the sweeper and the slider that he throws, they believe they can work with the shapes of those pitches. And even the changeup, pitch which batters hit almost 300 against last year. They think that can be a weapon for him. And you could just sense the excitement from Weathers on that Zoom call about jumping into that pitching laboratory with Matt Blake and working on whatever he needs to work on to be that fifth starter for the Yankees at the start of the season.
All right, so that's the way it would play out. He would be the fifth starter at the start of the season. But remember, at the end of April, you're going to get back Rodon. Hopefully, at the end of May, you'll get back.
They're saying that Weathers will be in the rotation.
Is it to use Weathers in the rotation at the beginning?
Whoops.
And then
They haven't
transition
said
into
that.
the bullpen? Or could he pitch so well that they keep him in the rotation?
Well, in a perfect world, I think that he is your number 5 starter. Rodon comes back healthy, and then Weathers does have that sort of swing role for you where he is the 6th starter, because I don't envision that the Yankees would bounce anyone out, whether it be Warren or Heel, but perhaps Weathers could pitch his way into a role where he stays in the rotation. You look at the Yankees pitching depth right now, Weathers helps that.
Okay.
The Yankees are still engaging in other discussions, Michael, about perhaps adding more pitching, but the prices were described as very, very high to me. Have they spoken about Peralta? Have they spoken about Gore? Yes, they have, but the prices remain very high, so the Yankees are comfortable with the depth they have right now.
All right, time for another break on the Yankees Hot Stove, presented by X-Lab. Up next, how about a little Italian? Team Italy manager Francesco Cervelli and his bench coach Jorge Posada will join the show, so stick around for that.
Where's your pain?
Right here.
Right here.
Both knees.
Take on the pain.
All right, so that's a no on Peralta and Gore. The prices are too high in trades, and they're comfortable with the depth that they currently have. So that's really the gist, I guess, of what they're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to end this because I do want to take some notes on the Team Italy thing, because I'm writing a story after this on the whole episode that'll be up on Last Word on Sports probably by like 11. I want to have it up because I have class tomorrow morning, so I want to rest tonight. But Yankee Hot Stove, no new updates. The one thing that I will kind of bookmark on is the Peralta Gore cold water on those trade talks. Didn't rule it out completely, but said they're comfortable with their depth, which they shouldn't be, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, and we will be live if news breaks. Hopefully, Bellinger comes to a decision like very soon. With my luck, I'll file my article tonight, and he'll come to a decision, and we'll be back here. Thank you for much. Have a nice day. Go Yankees, and please figure this out this offseason. This is annoying.